It's podcadzo.
How are you doing? You're doing fine. He's doing good. I'm doing good. This is
happens with all the beers
podcadzo.
in that fridge.
What does?
They just blow up on me.
Oh, it's probably because I shake them all.
That's
Before
what
I
I'm
put 'em in there,
suspecting.
yeah.
Well, that could be the only reason.
Every time I get a 12 pack, I just
Yeah.
and then
You calling you?
and then I shake the can.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well done. Go on.
thank you.
I like that jacket, by the way.
Thanks. I got this not
Super
too long
cool.
ago.
Yeah.
Forever 21 is my first time at a Forever 21. There was a buy one get one free rack, and I bought this for $17, and I got another jacket for free. This is super warm. I think it brings out my inner Italian.
Mm-hmm. It is very Italian.
People
of you to
have
wear
told
that.
me that it makes me look more Italian, which I'll take as a compliment because that's the only way you can take insults. But yeah, it's
good.
pretty warm. I like your little jean denim thing you got going on.
Thank you. I got this at an outlet mall in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Nice.
The name of the store is 7 for All Mankind. Have you heard of that?
No.
I had never
7?
either. 7 for All Mankind.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It sounds a little cultish though.
I'm just gonna
They're
Google
like an
it.
LA brand, I think. Pretty expensive shit, but they were having like a blowout sale the day I went there. So I got this jacket for like $30.
It doesn't really mean anything besides the store, I guess.
Yeah,
That's a stupid fucking name. Sorry.
it really is.
The closest one is in Castle Rock.
Yeah, it's a nice outlet mall they have there.
4.2 out of 5 stars on Google.
Yep.
Cool.
I got a cardigan from there as well that I like a lot. Forever 21 though, I was going to mention. I think they get a lot of shit for being like kind of like fast fashion, like throwaway stuff.
It definitely seemed like that when I was
bought
there.
one thing ever from Forever 21. It was like an Oxford blue button-up shirt. I bought the Forever 21 in DC when I was like 17. And I had that shirt for almost 10 years. I just recently got rid of it because it just got too small.
The actual, if from my experience, the actual merchandise in fast fashion is fine.
Yeah.
It's just the concept of like buying repeatedly that's kind of shoved upon us.
And
But
just
you can reject
new
that and then
trends.
just
Yeah.
treat fast fashion like normal fashion and it's fine. I will say, I have too many clothes. I need to get rid of some of them and I keep buying clothes instead of getting rid of clothes. So I'm kind of part of the problem, but it's not like at the point where I have way too much and I can't like store all my shit. And I have enough to like get a good rotation going. I can wear like one jacket for a week and then wear another jacket for another week. But it's not like unmanageable. And so if I see a nice jacket at fucking Forever 21, I'm gonna buy it. And the flip side of that is like at least half of that store was on markdown. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's the kind of maybe not negative implications of fast fashion, but it's just a side effect of fast fashion is they're just always trying to get rid of shit. So
I will say H&M, I think, is the worst for that. And I bought some shit
Definitely.
at H&M that does just fall apart, especially like T-shirts, like 2 wash cycles, and it falls apart.
I've never purchased a T-shirt from H&M, but I have some work pants that I bought at H&M, and they're great. They've lasted for like a year and a half, and I
Awesome.
beat the fuck out of them. Like
Yeah.
I treat them very poorly.
I guess I have gym shorts that are like 6 years old from H&M.
There you go.
So maybe I'm wrong.
The shirts and the jackets there, I can tell by looking at them that they're not very good material, and also it's just always so random. Like last time I was at H&M, they had like Discovery Channel collaborations, and then they had like a
Yeah.
Blink-182 hoodie next to it, and then they had like fucking Snoopy on some shit. It's just like, what? Who is this for?
Shit.
What kind of adult man sees Snoopy on a T-shirt and is like, "Oh, I need to have that"?
There's the whole Disney adult thing. That's a real
But
thing.
they shop at H&M.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
that's
it's
a
just a
big
demographic
demographic for
thing.
them.
Like the H&M in Fort Collins always seems to just be full of like people relatively our age.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
there's
think
some
that's probably just,
cool dudes in H&M. H&M has a big cool dude market.
yeah, definitely a
Yeah.
big cool dude market. They have like the jeans with the holes already ripped in them.
Mm-hmm.
They have like the jackets with all the fucking loops and straps that are for nothing, and yeah, cool dude stuff.
Yeah,
Definitely.
most definitely. I'm pretty happy with where my wardrobe is now, but I had a thing for years where I still am this way. Like minimalistic. That word gets thrown around a lot. I just don't like having a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And for years, I was like kind of OCD about my closet. And if I had what I thought were too many clothes or too many options, I would like purge. And I noticed it was especially related to like how stressed I was in my normal life, where like if I was going through stress, I would just purge. And it got like really bad for a little bit, where like I was just like getting rid of clothes constantly. And I had this idea where I like wanted just like one shirt where I would wear that all the time. And
Be like Homer Simpson.
pretty much. I was like, I just want to wear like one thing, have like one option in the morning. And so I got like, there's a lot of things that I donated that I regret that were like fucking cool pieces of clothing.
Right.
But I've
Can
gotten
I ask
better
you a
with that.
side question? Did you have a large wardrobe as a child, and was it by choice?
I would say I had a pretty large wardrobe. My parents were always buying stuff for me, and like, you know, that was like the most common gift to get was a shirt or something for like birthday. So yeah, I had a pretty large wardrobe.
I think, okay, so hear me out. I think something about the concept of having stuff versus not having stuff is kind of in adulthood doing the opposite of how you were brought up.
Yeah,
Because
I completely agree.
I think I had a very minimal childhood. I didn't get a lot of new clothes. This is going to sound shitty. I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
Nothing was wrong with my childhood. But I just got a lot of secondhand shit because it was cheaper. We didn't have like too much cash flow at our house. So it was just about getting cheap shit that, you know, would last for a long time. So my wardrobe was pretty thin and it didn't get refreshed too much. And now as an adult, it's for me like I really like the idea of having a lot of clothes solely for the purpose of not being seen in the same thing
Yeah.
multiple times in a row. Like for a while, you know, it was like I had 5 t-shirts that I liked. So I it was the same repetition of outfits like every week. So now for me, it's like, especially like having a podcast and like being in bands and stuff, it's like I don't want to wear the same t-shirt I wore at the last show, or like I don't want to wear the same outfit that I wore on the last podcast. That's just for me. That's for nobody else. I'm fucked up like that.
No, I have the same thing. I actually plan ahead. I'm like, I know for this podcast, I was planning on wearing something specific, so I can't wear that for this podcast. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for me, it's just about doing something different from how I was brought up, because I always wanted to know what it'd be like, and I think I like it. Like I have more shoes now than I've ever had in my life, by far, and I have definitely like more jackets and just like accessories than I've ever had in my life. Again, it's not too much. Like I don't make that much money. I'm not like going over the top.
And you're not a
But
hoarder.
I like to treat myself.
No, that's very nice.
I like to treat
That's
those
a
around me
healthy
too.
way to
so,
be.
yeah.
I totally agree with your theory of it's kind of the opposite of how you grew up as a child. And
I think that's with everything. Like,
yeah, totally.
I didn't have like accessories of any kind growing up. Like no technology really, no accessories for like experiencing, you know, other hobbies. So now as an adult, it's like I kind of like to dip my toes into a whole bunch of other shit that I probably shouldn't, but I do it anyway just because it's all experiences that I just always thought I would want to have.
Yeah. And related to your theory, I think it's kind of the opposite of how your parents were, maybe. Like my dad grew up pretty poor, didn't have a lot of stuff. He did well for himself. You've seen my parents' house and all my dad's shit. He's bought in himself a lot of stuff. And it's good. He deserves to. A lot of nice stuff.
Yeah, and your dad also keeps it tasteful. Like he keeps it within reason.
Yeah,
Like, he's not one of those fucking fucking millionaires that you see on the internet who's like, I got a Lamborghini this week, I got a new house this week. It's like everything he has, he arguably kind of needs. So
yeah, and he's not just buying garbage for the sake of buying garbage, but because he has so much stuff, it takes a lot of upkeep to own that much stuff. And you know, growing up, I would have to help my dad out with a lot of that upkeep. So I grew up kind of being like, if you have too much stuff, it creates like work for you. So I don't want a lot of stuff.
yeah.
And I also just have a thing about like clutter. Not that, you know, my parents are pretty organized. Our
Your
house was
parents
never
are very clean.
cluttered. But again, I saw how much work it took to be that clean. I was like, I don't want to spend my time doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, I don't know, my parents are also very clean. Like my dad's clean to a fault, arguably. Like I think he's got some mental shit that he needs to get sorted out. But that kind of made me not over fixate on being clean as an adult, which is almost like a fault. And it's not my parents' fault. It's definitely my fault. But it's just like because of how much I saw them focus on that aspect of life.
Yeah.
It made me want to be like,
matter.
I got to take a step back and just be chill about it.
Mm.
And, with the situations that we're in uniquely and respectively, like everyone has to take a different approach to life. So that's fair in itself. But I don't know. I just think it's funny to try and compare and contrast, because I think like ideologically I'm exactly the same as my parents. Like I have the same values as them.
Yeah, totally.
And I wouldn't trade any of the like insight that I've gained from them for anything. It's just lifestyles are very different, which is cool. I'm sure they're stoked to see me treat myself as an adult because, a lot of the shit that I wanted as a kid was unattainable back then anyway.
Yeah.
And now it's more attainable because, smartphones are a dime a dozen. Technology's gotten a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible. And just like hobbies in general are more accessible too. Like music gear was less accessible and cost more money like 15 years ago than it does now. So those are all factors to consider as well. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty wild time to be alive. I've been trying to appreciate more on the day-to-day, just like how good things are.
Yeah.
How lucky we are as a culture. And I have spent most of my life being quite pessimistic about that and kind of cynical about how we're just like garbage consumerism culture, and that we're destroying the planet and throwing too much
I think
stuff
that's
away.
kind of the civic duty of people like in our late teens and early 20s. I feel like those are the people that call shit out the most. They're the most like active and the most
and then you just
noisy.
give in, you get broken down,
and then
by
eventually
society
you're
and
just
you
like
give in.
you give in to a certain extent, but also you kind of just realize that not everything matters to you as much as it matters to everyone else. Like I used to be super political and think that politics was like everything, and over the years, especially the last couple, I've really changed to where it's just like I don't really give a fuck about what's happening at all. Not like on a human level. I very much care about what's going on, but just on like the political spectrum,
on the news cycle
like
shit, yeah.
the 24-hour news cycle, the constant like click pieces that are being dropped in our faces. Like I just don't care about any of that anymore, and I've just discovered that my time is better spent doing other things and worrying about other stuff instead, like my own shit. I got my own shit to worry about now. So
to have lived through COVID and all the shit that came along with that and still be that way about politics, you truly have to be insane. Where you like, because I was the exact same way. I was, and I'm still a liberal person, obviously, but
sure,
like battling against Trump on social media, that
yeah,
sort of
like
shit.
calling people. My big thing is like the first election cycle with Trump. I was calling Trump supporters idiots and stupid morons for being Trump supporters, and now I don't even care if you're a Trump supporter anymore. It's not really about that.
Yeah.
It's just about how do we find common ground so that we can see each other as fucking human beings and have a normal conversation that's not like kind of stoked by the fear of, well, we have fundamental disagreements, therefore we shouldn't even be talking to each other. I think that was a big like learning thing through COVID, especially because like you'd have to interact with people who, very instantly you could tell you didn't agree with, and you just had to be humans because it was a scary time and everyone was a little bit unsure about what was going on.
Totally. And it just felt so good to actually like connect with someone who you thought you should battle and hate.
Sure. Yeah.
It is a nice feeling to be like, hey, we found common ground. Like, don't see eye to eye on this thing,
and common ground is how issues are actually solved.
Yeah, totally.
We just have to agree to disagree on stuff and move through the issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of many examples. I feel like there's so many other things too, like, and this is kind of naive, honestly, but like when I was 20 and 19, I was literally only worried about making enough money to pay the rent and like getting through, billing cycle to billing cycle. And now I still worry about paying my bills, but I don't worry about money as much. I'm not worried about having money all the time. I'm more just worried about making sure that everything's taken care of. And if everything's taken care of, really that's good enough for me. I'm not constantly feeling behind by my finances anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, that's politics and finances solved right there. Should we move on to music?
Sure.
Let's fucking do it. So the Grammys were last night.
Yes.
Neither of us watched them.
No.
So I did actually watch. I watched like 10 minutes. I just threw it on right when I was getting home. And I watched enough to see Billie Eilish perform, Olivia Rodrigo perform. I saw the Miley Cyrus performance, which people are talking about. It's a pretty good performance. She did Flowers. Pretty rad.
I've never heard Flowers. Is it good?
You've heard Flowers.
I don't think I have.
You have it?
I genuinely don't think I have.
We talked about it in that episode with Connor. I can buy myself flowers.
I mean, if I said I heard it, I was lying.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good song. Check it out. It was a big hit. I'd be surprised if you wouldn't recognize it. It's a big hit this summer.
I mean,
Last summer.
Like on my Spotify, it was a big hit because I didn't put it on my Spotify, and that's the only thing I listen to.
Yeah, I guess you don't. I guess you don't go a lot of places, but here in work.
Yeah, work. There's like corporate radio, which is mandated by corporate, so we hear the same 50 songs every day.
Chiba Hut corporate
There's
radio.
Party in the USA.
Yeah, but that's like old enough to be stoner cool now.
Yeah, right. It made its full circle from cool to cringy. Now it's cool again.
Kind of ironic. And then I saw SZA perform. I saw SZA win an award. Maybe
Did
I watched
Green Day perform? Because I saw a picture of drums on Trey Cool's Instagram, but I didn't know if they actually performed.
They probably did. I don't know. I didn't see them.
I didn't see him for a single second. I was at work when they started, and then when I got home, they were almost done, and I did not care to try and find a way to watch it. But I did see something interesting about Killer Mike, which I'm sure everyone else has already seen too, because, by the time this comes out, this will be old news. But Killer Mike was arrested.
Which is crazy.
Shortly after winning 3 Grammys, which in itself is a feat. I think we should just talk about that for a second, because Killer Mike's never won a Grammy with Run the Jewels or in any of his solo stuff. And I think it's just an interesting kind of, I guess we'll say, take on rap in 2023. Because I listened to the Killer Mike album. I think we might have talked about it a little bit. It wasn't that exciting to me. Like, my favorite part of it was honestly Andre 3000's feature, which in itself should win a Grammy. But
yeah,
I don't know. It just wasn't as good as some of the other rap that came out in 2023, in my opinion. So I feel like it's just another one of those things where the Grammys, whoever it is in the organization, whatever, they just know Killer Mike is a recognizable social figure, and so that's kind of a part of the reason why he won the Grammy. Obviously, the album was good, but I don't know. What's your opinion?
Pretty much the same. I feel like I got the idea of it after 2 songs, and then everything else was just like, all right, man, I get it. Like,
it's very much an album about different. Killer Mike. I feel like.
Definitely. And some great features, especially the Andre 3000. The CeeLo feature is cool too. But yeah, I listened to it when it first came out and haven't gone back to it really.
It's not super. It's not super high on anyone's rotation, I feel like.
No, probably not. But yeah, I think the Grammy. I mean, you don't need to hear from us that the Grammys are total bullshit.
Yeah.
Almost unwatchable, but
literally unwatchable for me. I
say
had the
almost
choice and I
could
said
tolerate
no, thank you
for 10 minutes.
But yeah, so I did not know the reason why Killer Mike was arrested, and I found this article on Rolling Stone that was published an hour ago, so I figured I could just read the first paragraph or 2 real quick.
Let's do it. I'm very
Essentially,
curious.
The reason Killer Mike was hauled away in handcuffs after winning 3 Grammys Sunday was coming into focus. Senior law enforcement tell Rolling Stone that a female security guard working at the star-studded event claims she was injured by the rapper during a confrontation inside of Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. It was shortly after the musician Michael Render swept the category Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance. He allegedly encountered a guard near her assigned entrance. Guard told police she asked for Render's tickets and directed him to a security checkpoint, but he tried to get around her. And then when she got in front of him, he pushed her to the ground, and she sustained injuries to her hand and fingers. And then she called the police for help. And then I guess after his sweep, they just took him right out of there. Damn. Misdemeanor charge. I saw a video on Instagram of him being walked out in handcuffs, and then my whole Instagram was like Killer Mike arrested, and I was like, what the fuck? It seemed timed.
Staged.
Like, have you ever seen Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
Have you ever, like when J-Rock like tries to get arrested
Yeah.
for his rap album cover?
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that. It was
Definitely.
like, is this real?
It's like, what's the only thing cooler than sweeping the Grammys for all the rap categories? Getting arrested immediately.
Because then you get to kind of shine a light on the issue. Black man arrested in L.A.
Yeah, but physically abusing a female security officer.
That's not chill.
Not the best
yeah,
way
I did
to
not
do
know
that.
that happened. This article says people are wondering why Will Smith wasn't arrested after hitting Chris Rock in the face.
For real.
Obviously, this makes sense. Chris Rock didn't want to press charges or make an arrest.
Well, I was going to ask, is that how it works? Would he have to press charges
He
immediately?
would have
for them
to
be
say,
I want him arrested? Okay.
Or maybe not even immediately. He probably could have waited like a day or two. And it was on national fucking television.
But like if you're caught like attacking someone, I think they'll still detain you at least. And then if the person ends up not pressing charges,
they probably asked
just let
him.
you go.
They probably asked Chris Rock like right away, like, "Yo, what the fuck should we do?" And he was probably just like, "Nothing."
Well, and also everyone thought that was staged as well at first. It's
Sure.
not like anyone was gonna. It's not like cops are gonna rush the stage.
When I
as
saw
soon
it
as
for
they
the
saw
first
that.
time, I laughed. I was like, "This is fucking hilarious," because I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Man, it was a weird joke. It's weird that I laughed. It's just physical humor, I guess, gets the caveman.
That's
in me
when
going,
I found
but
out. I found out about that one like the next day. I just couldn't believe it. And that that was one of the last major news events. It was like that and then the Israel-Hamas war. There was like nothing in between. And all we were talking about until Israel was
the
Will
Chris
Smith.
Rock incident. Yeah, everyone on podcasts was talking about it. We're still talking about it on our podcast.
Yeah.
It's been, what, almost a year? Over a year? I don't know.
Over a year. That was 2022, I think that happened.
Oh, yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
Fuck, time is so weird.
It is weird.
Anyway, so that's what happened to Killer Mike. And sorry that happened to that security guard. I'm also kind of sorry to Killer Mike that it had to be such a public thing. I guess that's kind of what you deserve if you're a public figure that does fucked up shit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I still like Killer Mike.
We'll find out more about it before we
like
form
Josh
any
Homme
judgments.
kicked a camera woman in the fucking face, and I fucking love that guy.
That was one where I was like, I like him more now.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. It's fucking annoying too. Anyways, yeah. So
Taylor Swift announced an album.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
At the Grammys?
Mm-hmm. In her acceptance speech, I guess, for Album of the Year, she said something about there being a new album, and then artwork started circulating on the internet, and now everyone's freaking the fuck out. It comes out in April. It's supposed to be like dream pop, I guess, which wasn't Midnight's kind of dream pop.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just more of that. Not sure. But yeah, that's that.
The one category I'm always interested in each year is best rock song, because I just think that's a funny category to begin
Paramore
with.
win?
No.
Well, not best rock
Paramore,
song,
maybe.
but...
Yeah, one for something. Boy Genius won best rock song for
nice.
What's the name of that song? Not Strong Enough, or Wish I Was Strong. Whatever
didn't
that
they?
song is.
Okay, so didn't they just announce a hiatus? Boy Genius.
I don't know.
Did you see that? I'm pretty
That
sure
wouldn't
I saw
surprise me.
somewhere that they announced a hiatus, but I thought that was just a one-off project anyway. Were they planning on going for more? Because why would you announce a hiatus if you weren't gonna keep
the way I thought Boy Genius worked out? I thought they were a band before, and then kind of did a hiatus then, and Phoebe Bridgers got huge in the interim, and then they reformed.
Maybe. Oh, okay, that would make sense.
Because Boy Genius was definitely around before like Phoebe Bridgers got huge.
Okay, I didn't know that. That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I guess I'll go back together. Should we just Google all the Grammy wins?
Yeah, I just did that.
Oh, okay.
You stupid fuck.
Well, why don't you read it?
Sorry. Record of the year, Flowers by Miley Cyrus, which I think we already covered.
Wow.
Album of the year was Midnight's. Song of the year, What Was I Made For? Billie Eilish. Best new artist, Victoria Monet. That's cool. I thought, wasn't Jelly Roll nominated for Best New Artist?
That sounds right.
I feel like Jelly Roll should have won that. Jack Antonoff won Producer of the Year, non-classical. Who the fuck is Theron Thomas? Or Theron Thomas?
I don't know.
Won Songwriter of the Year, non-classical. Flowers won Best Solo Pop Performance. Best Duo Pop Performance. Oh, Ghost in the Machine. That's cool. SZA with Phoebe Bridgers. Pop Vocal Album Midnights. Dance Electronic. Rumble, Skrillex, Fred Again, and Flodan.
I like Fred Again. It's the only. I mean,
What-
Skrillex.
What's
obviously.
Fred Again?
He's this London producer, DJ dude.
Okay.
Does some cool shit.
Best Rock Performance, Not Strong Enough, Boy Genius.
Yeah, not sure.
Best Metal Performance, 72 Seasons, of course. What else even came out that would have been metal and nominated for a Grammy? I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
Best Rock Song, Not Strong Enough. Again. Oh, Best Rock Album was Paramore.
Okay,
That's
this
cool.
is why. Yeah.
Best Alternative was The Record. Of course it was.
Man, Rolling Stones really got snubbed.
Best Progressive R&B Album was SOS. That's cool. Good for SZA. Who was snubbed?
I was joking. The Rolling Stones.
Oh. Who what? Okay. Sorry to bring another podcast into this, but I was telling you about that Mark Maron
with Billy Joe.
Yeah,
I
did you
listened
listen to it?
and they
They
both
sucked the
praised-
Rolling Stones
I know.
off so hard. I know Mark Maron would, because Mark Maron obviously
he's an old head.
fucking loves the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones. He's a big old head.
But Billy
Keith
Joe,
Richards is like his number one idol, but
Billy Joe's a huge industry dude.
yeah, he can't shit
he
on
can't
it
really
on
shit on
what the
it,
fuck
yeah.
with Mark Maron, obviously. But at the same time, he was like, "Yeah, I really like it. It's so good. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, it's not. It's so bad. It's laughably horrible." Oh, Victoria Monet won Best R&B Album. I think that's everything I care about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Scientists and Engineers won Best Rap Song. So that's the Andre 3000 verse. That makes sense. Best Rap Album, obviously, Killer Mike. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that matters. Everything that's not weird world music. Best Country Song. Who gives a fuck? Best Folk Album was the Joni Mitchell live album. That's cool.
And she performed, I think, for the first time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't care about anything else.
All right.
You got any closing remarks on the Grammys?
No, let's stop talking about it. And segue to the next current music related thing, which is albums that came out in January of 2024.
Okay.
There's been some good stuff.
There's been
This year's
some
been off to
highly good stuff.
a good start.
There's been some bad stuff.
Yes.
There's been some questionable stuff. Some things where you kind of think, why did they put this out? Why did this need to be released? And we're not talking about the Rolling Stones album still.
Yes, that's behind us. They got left in the dust with 2023.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully they stay there for fucking ever.
First album I wanted to talk about, and we at some point have to do maybe a full episode on these guys. Black Grape. The album is called Orange Head.
Okay.
So you have never heard of Black Grape.
No, never.
Do you know the band The Happy Mondays?
No.
Okay. I have a feeling you're going to like this a lot.
This artwork looks familiar.
The Happy Mondays, so to step back, were a pivotal band in the whole Manchester movement. So Manchester was a musical explosion that happened in Manchester, England in the late or mid to late 80s that kind of corresponded with the Hacienda nightclub that the dudes from New Order opened, and corresponded with the explosion of MDMA in England.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
Happy Mondays were like at the forefront of this Manchester movement. played the hacienda all the time. We'll definitely do a Happy Mondays / Black Grape episode.
You'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll educate you. And
gonna
I'll
be
give you
sick
some
that
assigned I'll give you some assigned listening, some homework.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll totally do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you like
That
it.
sounded really sarcastic. I actually will really
I
do
thought you
that.
were being sarcastic.
No, I'll really do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll like it. So it was the leader of the Happy Mondays was this guy, Sean Ryder, who was just a working class dude from I think he was from Burnage or somewhere around there, like a suburb kind of Manchester. Grew up real poor, working class. No one thought he'd make anything of himself, especially in music. But he was just like, hey, music seems like a cool thing to get into. Like being a band seems dope because I could just do drugs all day. And like, that'd be nice. And so he just pulled together the Happy Mondays. And none of them really had any musical training at all. Barely played instruments. They like stole all their gear and shit. It's like, that sort of group. And
Nice.
somehow just willed themselves into becoming this super influential group. And they have some amazing songs and albums, Happy Mondays do. And Sean Ryder is a genius in his own right. He hit this wave probably largely due to drugs, where he was just one of the best lyricists and melodic composers, I think, of the late 80s, especially in England. The Happy Mondays burned out because of his drug use. Everyone thought he was going to die or kill himself. And he formed Black Grape, which was kind of his resurrection. And he went in kind of a new direction. It was still kind of like fun time club party music. He formed it with this rapper named Kermit, who was also a drug addict. And everyone thought it was going to be a failure. Not reach any success. They launched their album. I'm having like horrible memory right now. What's the first Black Grape? Do you have it up? It's Great When You're Straight. Yeah, is that what it's called?
Oh, these are songs. Hold up.
Yeah, It's Great When You're Straight. Yeah,
That's a good,
the
that's a
name of
good
the
name.
album. Is that the album art you said you recognize?
Yeah.
So I would, even though I couldn't remember the name of it, probably put this in my easily top 20 albums of all time. It maybe even sometimes would sneak its way into its top 10.
Jesus.
As far as party albums go, I have this record. Anytime anyone's come over to my house and like we're having a little shindig, this is on.
Is it like, what? Is it like samples and beats, or is it like...
Not so much sample based, but just beats. Great horns. Like it's a mixture of Sean Ryder and Kermit, rapping. So like some fun melodic singing and rap, and just amazing songs, and like the funnest album ever.
Hell yeah.
And it bangs so hard. Yeah, I think easily the best party album of all time in my opinion.
Better than that fuck, I can't even remember what it's called. Never mind.
Better than that.
Better than LMFAO.
LMFAO would be up there. And that Andrew WK album.
That's a good one.
But anyways, so they put out another album after this that wasn't as well received, I think, and some singles and stuff, and the group kind of just fizzled out. Sean Ryder got clean. He entered mainstream notoriety because he was a prominent feature on the only Gorillaz song to reach #1 in the UK, which is Dare.
Okay.
Sean Ryder's the guy that goes, "It's Dare."
Are you kidding me?
Nope. And he's the guy in the music video who looks all crazy in his
Oh my god,
balls. Yeah.
dude. He's the dude who can't... Can he speak English?
Barely.
Okay.
Barely.
What's his language?
Oh, no. I mean, he's English. He's from England. But like,
Why does he sound like he can't
has
speak
such
English?
a thick accent, and he's so, he's really put himself through the ringer. And he was left out,
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. There's this there's this video there's multiple videos, but there's this one particular video of them doing Dare Live, I think at some award show.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he's like trying to take off his jacket.
Yeah.
And he can't get it off. And he's just going,
He really ruins the performance.
yeah, he makes it really, truly horrible.
This is him now.
Okay.
He's
He looks like a fucking prick.
Yeah, well, I think he's
Like a right prick.
A right fucking prick. I think a lot of people would agree that he's a nice guy now.
That's
and
cool.
He's really gotten his shit together. And I follow him on Instagram, and he's done like some
So he's clean.
celebrity reality. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when he got clean. I think it was clean by the time he was on the Gorilla song, but he's been clean for a while. And
he might have had a relapse for that Dare performance.
yeah, could be.
Jury's out.
We'll have to look that up. He wrote this book called Off My Melon.
That is a right melon.
Yeah, it does have a pretty good melon. One of my favorite rock musician biographies I've ever read. It's so wild. Like the shit he got up to. He
What kind of drugs? Like everything?
Everything. But when MDMA came out,
that was like the main thing.
And like they were selling Molly too. Like he was the reason like MDMA became so big, like because he was promoting it through his music and
like,
literally
you guys gotta
selling
try this
it to
fucking
everybody.
stuff. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. But there's a bunch of crazy fucking stories about him. And then there's another great movie
We gotta
about
have him on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm such a fucking dork, but like I comment on his Instagram shit a lot, and he's like replied to it before, like so I'm like, sick. Sean Ryder's acknowledged me.
Nice.
Yeah, he might. I don't know. Seems like a collaborative guy. We should reach out to him.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm a huge Sean Ryder fan, huge Happy Mondays fan, huge Black Grape fan. All that being said, when I heard they were putting out a new album, I was like, oh no, like this is not the face of someone you think
should be music.
making new music. So the new album came out. It's called Orange Head, and I spun it the day it came out and was blown away.
Really?
First listen, so
Shit.
good,
Fuck.
really, really good. Reminiscent of It's Great When You're Straight. A really fun party album, youthful, young, fun, a lot of like throwback hip hop vibes, but done really tastefully.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna check it out.
And you should check it out. Yeah. Pimp Wars, especially, I think, is my favorite song.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to the first one and the last one. I'll let you know what I think.
There was a. Speaking of the book, the movie is called 24-Hour Party People. It has fucking what's his name? One moment. While Julian's super slow internet loads. This movie is about Factory Records, though, and the founder of Factory Records, Tony. That's why I need to look it up. Remember his name.
The internet was fine literally 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
What did you do to it?
I don't know. Tony Wilson and Steve Coogan plays him. You know who Coogan is? Yeah,
I do.
So this movie, Tony Wilson was like a TV personality who covered music. And so he was like covering like Joy Division early on, like Happy Mondays and shit. He's like, I should just start a record label and like promote all these bands that I'm covering. And it became Factory Records, who became huge when New Order became really big, because New Order was signed with Factory after Joy Division ended.
That's
after
lucky.
Ian Curtis killed himself. Yeah, so this is a really good movie. And it covers Happy Mondays and Sean Ryder and a lot of the antics that they were up to.
Okay. Yeah, Steve Coogan's a very antic-y fellow. He's got a lot of antics, so good casting there.
Yes. Most definitely. So yeah, a lot of good stuff for you to look into there, Julian, and hopefully our listeners will look into it as well and enjoy what I've recommended for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, I'm not the only one who doesn't know about Black Grape.
Yeah.
It seemed like people would know about them.
Definitely in England, like they were, huge in England in the 90s especially. But yeah,
Where
in
did
the States,
Where did you get exposed to them?
Just because I was especially obsessed with like, you know,
The
90s
Britpop.
Manchester Britpop stuff. And you can't really talk about all that without like the Happy Mondays coming in the mix. So got into the Happy Mondays, really liked their music, and then went into it from there.
Got it.
A lot of it came about from listening to or by reading Sean Ryder's book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, not Off My Melon, Twisting My Melon.
Off My
'Cause,
Melon
yeah.
is so much better.
Well, there's a Happy Monday lyrics like, "You're twisting my melon, man. You're twisting my melon."
That's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I'm back off of caring about that.
All right, your turn to position in an album.
What do we got here? Well, I guess I'll talk about the Saviors album. Is that okay?
Yes.
The Green Day. Green Day. Yeah, Saviors. So I think I am probably not the only one in saying that as a Green Day fan, as someone who loves Green Day, I appreciate the effort of this record, but it's a little bit wasted on me as like a Green Day fan. It's hard because like I don't like it when bands make the same thing over and over, so I appreciate Green Day for not doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it seems like this album is a combination of trying to at least channel the American Idiot era type of Green Day, and then the other half of it is just them trying to make songs that sound like other people's songs to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like all bad for me. Like I think some of it is listenable. None of it stood out as like my favorite thing ever that they've done. But some of it's like just solid and listenable. Like I think The American Dream Is Killing Me was a pretty good song overall. I really liked the like symphonic like string
That little Beatles
section in the middle.
Yeah, super Beatles-esque little interlude.
Super.
Yeah,
And
I like that too.
when I heard that, when it was in the context of being a single, I was like, wow, the album's going to be cool and explorative. But it's not really. I don't know. At least in my opinion, maybe there's just something I'm missing. I've listened to it like 4 or 5 times. It's not like the shortest, but it's under an hour, so it doesn't take that long to listen to. It's 46 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah. Which is a pretty good length album for
definitely
what these
not like
songs
short.
are. Yeah.
But I think each individual song is pretty short, and then there's just like a lot of songs.
15 songs.
The song Look Ma No Brains was kind of boring. It kind of seemed like maybe they're trying to channel their earlier sound a little bit or their earlier energy. Bobby Socks to me just like isn't a Green Day song really. And then I don't know if you heard the controversy with One Eyed Bastard, like how it's that Pink song.
Oh no, I didn't notice that.
You know that? Here, let's just do this real quick.
Listen to it. While you're looking that up, I had a similar experience my first listen through where American Dream, I was like, wow, this is a great song. Excited for this. Look Ma No Brains is good enough for me to not check out completely. But then Bobby Socks, I was like, okay.
One, you texted me and said that it seemed like a Machine Gun Kelly wrote all the songs.
Yeah.
That song specifically, I was
That's
like, yeah,
when I
this is
started thinking
anthem, like anthem-y bullshit pop rock.
Mm-hmm.
The last song, Fancy Sauce, kind of piqued my curiosity.
I like
It's a little
Fancy
different.
Sauce. I like Corvette Summer too.
That song got to me. I did not like that.
You didn't like that song?
I did not like that song.
Okay.
I also really did not like the song. Which one? I think Coma City is the one I didn't like. Father to a Son was all right too.
Yeah.
I like Father to a Son because you can tell it's like actually about something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Billy Joe Armstrong would never actually phone in the lyrics or anything like that. Like I know he actually cares about his craft. He's not just phoning it in. But I still kind of get the vibe that it's phoned in just because it's slightly overdone almost for the most part. But like Father to a Son is like kind of a ground that he hasn't really covered before, and it's a lot more personal. So it felt a lot more genuine for that. Yeah, let's see here.
He also brought up in the Marin interview that it was the first time since American Idiot that they've gotten political. I was like, did you get political? Like, Look Ma No Brains is a little bit like dumb American shit.
I think, yeah, like
and living in the 20s.
The American Dream is killing me. You could definitely say it has,
true.
but it's more of a social commentary, I feel like, than it is a political one, because it's more about, at least my interpretation of it was, it's more about like, overdevelopment and overconsumption, which isn't a political issue so much as a social one.
Well said.
But either way, like, yeah, not very political. And also, like, Father of All Motherfuckers seemed like it was kind of political too. Like,
yeah,
they definitely never fully abandoned that concept. I don't know.
Yeah, it threw me off because it was like, was that supposed to be a conscious thing with this album? It's like another political album, but maybe I'm reading into that.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because, like, obviously it's all open for interpretation and stuff, but like, I think if you're Billy Joe Armstrong and you like put out American Idiot and then what's the other one called? The one that came after American Idiot?
Radio.
Not Revolution Radio.
Oh yeah.
The other one that has like 21 Guns and stuff on it.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Whatever that album is, that album was super political, and obviously American Idiot was super political, so I think people just kind of give it that they like assume it's going to be political, and then they just kind of put it in that lens whether or not it is. Is the internet down right now? Or
mine's just super slow for me.
Okay, there we go. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
You're not going to hear it super well, but anyway, we're back. Sorry about that.
Are you apologizing to me?
Yes.
All good.
I don't care about them. You're going to edit it out.
No.
They're fine. I'm sorry that
we
you had to go
like
through.
There was a.
Yeah, no, everything's fine.
Yeah.
I was waiting on you, frankly.
Why did you just interrupt the seamless and smooth conversation?
Anyway, yeah, so One-Eyed Bastard by Green Day, here it is. Got it?
Yes, I did clap. Okay. Yeah, it sounds exactly like the Peak song. It was funny I didn't remember that because I listened to this with Julia and I was like, I just lost my boyfriend. I don't know where he went. Yeah.
Yeah. And a bunch of people like, I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised you didn't see it because I wouldn't have made the connection as quickly as I did because I haven't listened to Pink in a fucking decade. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, it's weird. It's just interesting. People on the internet, like almost right away, were saying, because it was a single, when it came out as a single, people were like, Green Day's new single.
I didn't realize that was a
sounds
single.
Sounds exactly like Pink's song.
That's a blatant ripoff.
Yeah, but it's kind of worse. Like, okay, so I don't know. Pink's has more movement. Like hers is da na 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 na. Green Day's is just like it takes out 2 whole notes. It's way more boring.
Yeah.
Because Pink's goes like I don't know. There's just notes missing. It's way different, but it's also exactly the same.
Pink is better Green Day. You've heard it here, folks.
Pink did Green Day before Green Day did. But yeah, so that's Saviors. I think overall, not the most notable release they've ever had. Maybe didn't need to release it. Maybe could have been better. I'm still glad Green Day's putting out music. I'm still glad that they're touring. I'm still glad that they're kind of, in some respects, doing what they can to be themselves and put new spins on the classic formula. I think, in my opinion, like, when the Blink album came out, the Blink album felt genuine from, like, start to finish. And that's why, even though it was, like, more of the same, I liked it, because it seemed like it was wholehearted. The Green Day kind of seems like it dips its toes in being genuine sometimes, but it's not always that way. So
yeah, the best thing about Saviors for me, well, and actually this was you who did it. Maybe it didn't have anything to do with Saviors, but is listening back to Father of All Motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Which is that why you were listening back to that one because of
Yeah.
Saviors? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, it was kind of also because of the Mark Maron podcast
Yeah.
because they talk about Father of All a little bit, and Mark Maron kind of says like, you know, like what's the deal with that album? Like it seems
Super
like a
different for you
massive
guys.
departure for
Yeah.
you guys, and we talked about Father of All too, and how annoying the marketing was.
Yeah.
And I felt that because I think that the marketing for it made it seem like it was just another Green Day album.
Exactly.
So I never
Just
checked it
old
out.
guy rock stuff. Yeah.
And then
I
I don't know.
listened to it, but just I don't think I conceptualized it at all or comprehended the music. I just like played it, I think, for the sake of playing it. But you texted me saying, dude, Father of All sounds exactly like Portugal the Man. That wasn't exactly words. You
Mostly
said it was
just
giving
the
you
first
PTM vibes.
song.
Well, there's songs all throughout. They definitely have the PTM
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, how did I never notice this? It's like Evil Friends. Exactly.
Super,
and
yeah.
It's well done. And Billy Joe on the Marin podcast said that Father of All, the song, the titular song from that album, is like one of his proudest songwriting accomplishments, which I found interesting.
Yeah, super. Because you wouldn't think. I don't know. I guess for me, like when Father of All Motherfuckers came out, it was kind of like it didn't have the context of being kind of in the middle of a discography. It was like one of the bookends, and so it seemed like maybe kind of a cry for attention at the very end of their career or whatever. But now that Saviors has come out, to me, it seems like it makes Father of All Motherfuckers seem like that was their weird experimental album. Like, not that they've only had one. They've obviously experimented a lot over the years, but that it was like kind of later in their career, an experimental move that they made that they really didn't fucking have to. They could have just put out another, Revolution Radio or another 21st Century Breakdown, but they really like dug deep and they got super creative. Like, I think it's probably the most interestingly produced Green Day album I've ever heard. Like, it's all over the place production wise. The songwriting is also like super unpredictable, and every time you think it's going to go somewhere, it goes somewhere else. Like, not to say I love it through and through, because I still think there's a fair amount of issues with it, but I do think it's very interesting to listen to. I listen to it and I'm like, wow, this piques my curiosity in a lot of ways that other Green Day frankly never has.
Yeah, I'm excited. I listened through all of it a couple days after you texted me, and I'm excited to go back and listen again. Father of All.
Yeah, same. It's been like I haven't listened to it since that day I texted you, but it's still on my back burner of like things I want to circle back around to, because if I listen to something once and I like it, I usually try to give it some time and then come back to it, unless it's like a top artist for me, which Green Day I love, but they're not one of those top artists where I'm like constantly checking back in to make sure that I still like it.
Yeah. It's funny, the Portugal the Man comparison, because when Father of All came out, the marketing we're talking about is they did this whole thing where they were like, no Swedish producers, no bullshit, like only real rock and roll music, like we're Green Day, that's what we're about. And
then the radio singles kind of in context with that statement seemed like radio fodder.
Yeah,
to me.
Completely. It's like, okay, why are you guys even trying to make that statement?
Yeah.
You're fucking Green Day.
Yeah.
But at around that same time, Portugal the Man was touring Woodstock, and during their live shows, they had a similar thing where like the backdrop for the stage was this poster that just said something to the effect of "No computers, real instruments only." And I also thought that was a little bit lame of Portugal the Man. It's cool to do that, but like
you don't have to bring attention to the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah, and it surprised me about Portugal the Man because they're like hip hop kids and stuff,
right,
and like they're very forward thinking about music. It's like, So it's just funny. Maybe that was
that is another parallel. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot of parallels that can be drawn from that Father of All Motherfuckers album. It's super interesting. It's dips its toes into a lot of what was kind of trending at that time, but it kind of does it like more genuinely, or like at least more organically than some of the like pop or anthem rock was doing at the time.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Closing remark on Green Day. Billy Joe is the man. Super cool dude. I enjoyed that.
I love Trey Cool too. I love Mike Dirnt as well. They're all fucking awesome dudes.
They are.
That I have a place in my heart for Green Day forever, where like they changed the way that I feel about music, and I'm forever thankful for that. So,
Do you remember at the start of the Marin podcast, he said something like, "I asked a question early on that was really risky, but I'm glad I did it because it won him back." I was trying to what was it?
I don't know either. Really, I think I don't know. Like at first, Billy Joe did seem a little disengaged,
a little checked out,
kind of just like But then at some point it did shift. But I don't know specifically what question it was that made Billy Joe think like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be good. But I also know Billy Joe wouldn't sit down for a long form interview without knowing who he's sitting down with, or like he wouldn't have fucked with Mark Maron. I don't think it might have been slightly more disengaged, but it wouldn't have been a bad interview by any means.
And I gotta imagine Billy Joe Armstrong already fucked with Mark Maron. Like,
100%. Yeah.
Anyways, speaking of podcasts, I can't believe this has never come up on our show, but a podcast that I loved for a while and I think was influenced by doing doing our podcast was you talking U2 to me. Have I ever told you about that?
No. Well, yes. I think we've talked about it briefly, but I haven't listened to it, but I know about it. I really want to listen to it because I know that it would be very good.
Yeah. It's Scott Aukerman from Comedy Bang Bang and Adam Scott, the actor. And it's hilarious.
They're
really
R.E.M.
funny guys.
one too,
yeah, so
right?
they did You Talking U2 to me and then followed up with Are You Talking REM me?
Yeah.
Regarding. And then I didn't realize they put out another one. So they tried to do a Red Hot Chili Peppers one for a little bit, but then just like, this kind of sucks. Let's not talk about Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then so they switched to Talking Heads. So the Talking Heads one was pretty good too. I listened to that one.
Do you think they would ever do a Radiohead one? Do you think they're in that universe? Because I would love to hear them talk about Radiohead.
I know those
Adam
dudes
Scott
like
likes
Radiohead. Yeah,
but
I'm sure Scott Aukerman does too.
yeah.
We should suggest that to them.
We should hit them up.
I'm gonna hit them
Let
up
them
and say
let them
next
know
one better
after
be
this.
Radiohead.
Yeah. And then Kadzo after that.
After we build up the discography a little bit. But the one they're doing right now is Springsteen. It's called,
cool.
Are You Springin' Springsteen on My Bean?
What the fuck?
But so I've been listening to that, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think of Bruce Springsteen?
I don't have an opinion on Bruce Springsteen,
Okay.
really. I know that he's important, and I know that he's cool and stuff, and I like him. I like him as a person. I'm not really super big on Bruce. I almost called him Bruce Springsteen.
Bane Spring Bean.
Not big on that guy's music, really, just because it's not what I'm into. I don't know. It's just like I don't like his voice that much, and I don't really like what he sings about. I don't give a fuck about the American dream.
Care about the heartland and
I don't care.
factory jobs and cars.
He is a cool dude, though. I love his sense of humor. I think he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah. So I, at some point in high school when I was a insufferable hipster, just made a personality decision for myself where I was like, I don't like Bruce Springsteen. He fucking
horrible.
sucks. Yeah. And I knew Born to Run, knew Born in the USA, obviously. I like listened to Nebraska then because I knew that was like kind of a cool like dark album to listen to. So I kind of got into Nebraska. But then there was like a weird like time. I mean, I guess you could say Springsteen mania has been going on since the late 70s. But like especially at that time, it seemed like there was like a resurgence.
I mean,
so, like,
did you
Bruce
see his
Springsteen
ass in
stuff.
those jeans in the 70s?
Yeah, dude, how could you not be obsessed with him? I understand it, but and then like the whole 3-hour concert thing, and like he seemed like self-important to me a little bit too. So I made just a decision where I was like, that's a part of my personality now is I'm a dude who doesn't fuck with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, which also fits in because everyone else fucks with him. So you got to take the counter approach.
Yeah, I've second guessed that decision a couple times over the past couple years, and have listened to some Springsteen, but never really broke through. But listening to the podcast, You Springin' Springsteen on My Bean has changed my mind about it, and I'm like going deep on the albums with him now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man. And it's actually enjoyable this time?
Yeah, I had never they go album by album, the
Right.
episodes. So I just finished the Born to Run album, which is amazing album. Born to Run, everyone knows that. But I had not listened
Yeah,
really
everyone
ever.
knows that. It's so good.
It's really good.
Why?
It's good, dude. Born to Run is one of the best songs.
I haven't checked Bruce Springsteen out since I entered my old age and decided that I like stuff I used
think
to
that's
not
all
like,
that
so.
happens. I just passed an age threshold where I can fuck with Bruce Springsteen now. But yeah, the first two albums I never spent any time with, and they're very interesting albums. He was like really being heralded at the time as like the new Bob Dylan. You're supposed to be this like kind of folksy
Sure.
guy, and the first two albums he has the E Street Band on him, so it's not acoustic folk, so he kind of abandoned the whole Bob Dylan thing. But he is like the big thing then what all the critics were saying is like this guy paints such a lyrical picture in every song, like, and there's more lyrical content, and he's such a talented lyricist that in a single song there's more substance than what most artists have on an entire album, which also a long time ago I'd have been like, that's fucking stupid. That's a dumbass thing to be known for. Like you just say a bunch of words in your songs. But I'm approaching it from a less cynical angle this time, and
yeah, good for you.
Vibing with Springsteen. So I don't know. We'll see. I still maintain the fact that you cannot pay me enough to go to a 3-hour Bruce Springsteen concert and sit through that, unless I had like box seats and access to free beverages and food the whole time.
Springsteen to me is kind of just like OG Dave Matthews for that reason.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of just like they just get together and they just jam and get loosey and goosey, and it's just like, it's not for me. I don't know. I don't disrespect it by any means. It's just like not interesting to me at all. And Bruce Springsteen's lyrics have never been interesting to me either. Like,
no,
he doesn't sing about anything that I fucking care about.
So that's the other thing. As much as
he doesn't sing about fucking bitches and getting money,
which is what
not for me.
True, dude. You're right, man. Bruce Springsteen fucking sucks. No, but as going back on what I just said about like the lyrical content and stuff. All that being said, none of the songs particularly spoke to me or grasped me. But again, different backgrounds.
Sure.
I could appreciate where he was coming from.
I think that it might be a generational thing where like people a couple generations apart from us have a lot closer of a connection to Bruce Springsteen because of how impactful it was at the time when it was new.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's fine too. I've been able to resonate with older music than Bruce Springsteen that obviously was written for a different time, but it still resonates with me. It's just that's not Bruce Springsteen for me. And also, all that being said, I should probably go back and listen to him again because it's been a while, and I am more open-minded than I used to be, and there is some stuff that I listen to now with a little bit of widened context that makes more sense. So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, give him a try, Bruce Springsteen.
Will do.
Anyways, that was just meant to be a quick tangent. I mostly wanted to shout out the podcast, and you should definitely check out the U2 and REM seasons.
I'll start with U2 for sure.
They're full warning. The kind of shtick of the podcast is they never actually really talk that much about U2 or REM. They just kind of like talk about other shit the whole time. I mean, obviously they do get to the albums on each episode, but most of it they're just
that's why you can't
breeze.
Go into a podcast with a goal, because if you go into a podcast with a goal, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you go in saying you're just going to shoot the shit, then mission achieved every time.
Yeah, and they're funny guys. I like their banter.
Yeah, they have good banter.
We did come into this episode with a loose goal.
Okay, but hold on though.
Oh, yeah, we're still talking new albums.
There's one.
I know what you're gonna bring up. Yeah.
Okay. Letter to Self by Sprints. No, I'm just kidding.
That's like the whole time I was like, what's a shitty album that just came out?
I don't know if that's a shitty album. I've never heard of Sprints. Shout out Sprints. Wall of Eyes by The Smile. Okay, so obviously we're huge Radiohead guys. I'm a huge Tom York guy. I'm a huge Johnny Greenwood fan as well.
Me too.
So there's not really a reason why we wouldn't like the Smile record, I feel like. Because those guys have never really fucked up. In my opinion, those guys have never fucked up ever. They've got like a pretty clean track record for songs and releases. But this record to me is just like upper echelon level material. Like I thought that the Last Smile record, Life for Attracting Attention, was pretty good because it was like a culmination of stuff that was before it. Like, you know, there was even some old Radiohead songs on that record.
Yeah.
So like it just seemed like somewhat of a bridge, like from old to new. And now this record to me just seems like fully realized vision and like flawless execution. Like there is not a single second of the record that I would change.
Yeah. I can't agree more. It really just like, as soon as the album starts, like these guys are truly on like a stroke of genius, even for them, like have reached a new level of mastery. And it's so dope to, I was reading a Rolling Stone article reviewing the album. It was a very positive review, obviously. But something that album was talking about is like it's cool to have these guys around and like to actually be putting out releases that like feel like kind of how it used to in the days of or like even in with Radiohead, where it's like this is a big release and something people were like actually excited to go down, like to sit down and listen to the whole thing and consume it as a record. That doesn't happen a lot anymore with music.
That's super true. And I mean, like, I give huge props to The Smile for performing a lot of this record live before it came out.
Yeah.
Because I think that helped them workshop the record, but it also helped the true fans of Radiohead and The Smile and, you know, all the subsects of whatever the world contains. It solidified that the next album was going to be fucking awesome. Like, were you at the Smile show?
No, regrettably.
You missed it.
I can't believe I missed it.
I was at the Smile show with my girlfriend and two of my best friends, and it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. Like, I can only imagine it's how seeing Radiohead would feel to me, because it's probably the closest I'll get. But I mean, it's just like the amount of suspense that was built from hearing those songs over a year ago to when the album came out. It never subsided for a second. It was like, and I'm a little obsessive, but like almost once a week or so, I was thinking for like a second about like, oh man, that song's going to come out and it's going to be so fucking good.
Yeah.
And the thing with building suspense like that for records is sometimes you're going to be disappointed. Like I kind of did that with the Bombay record a little bit, where I was like, this record's going to be fucking perfect. And then in my opinion, it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But this is the opposite. Like every song that they played live that's on the record is like better than when I heard it live. And when I heard it live, I was like, this is the greatest thing they've ever done. And it's just such an interesting culmination of like the organic, the jazz, the electronic, the like dissonant, the like loop based, the sample based, well, not sample based, but like the loop based, like everything they've ever tried to do, the rockin' shit, like the 90s shit, like it's all in there in one point or another. And the pacing of the record is so fucking ballsy as well, in my opinion. Like opening with the title track, and the title track being what it is, and then immediately just throwing you like banger, 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 and then like a really nice, organic, like super jazz influenced song to like break it up. And then like, you know, kind of a more somewhat electronic influenced song. And then Bending Hectic, which is like just epic. It goes in every direction within one song. It's perfect. I could talk about it like forever.
We should just do a full episode on Wall of Eyes.
We probably should at some point.
Yeah. And the music videos.
Yeah, the music videos are incredible too, and I think continuing to like work with like Paul Thomas Anderson and kind of maintain a universe, or like build upon a universe that's already started, and then having like the artwork be somewhat cohesive between the records, having the records themselves kind of almost feel like brother and sister records. Like it just seems like kind of a universe they've never really explored before, because you know with Radiohead it was like every release was wildly different. They like completely reinvented their image almost for every single record that came out. This is like the opposite, where it's like the image is the image, the concepts are the concepts, and the visuals, the video universe that is Compatriot is also like very much like sequential from start to finish, and it's done with a mastery like that I don't really think anyone else could pull off. How can you have the foresight to write two records that are so different and yet so complementary, and have the foresight to keep a theme throughout, make sure that it's all cohesive within itself, but completely different and explorative? It's just like really no one else can pull off a release like that besides like Tom York, Johnny Greenwood.
Yeah.
Probably, there's a huge team behind them, but the way that they can always execute a vision just leaves me inspired every single time. So
Yeah. So even like after Light for Attracting Smile, I was like, I didn't see the show, but I was following like all the live performances they were like putting on YouTube and stuff. And when they started playing songs off of this, I was like, was there some sort of deluxe version of Light for Attracting Smile that I'm not aware of? Because like, I've listened to some of these songs. I was like, those sound like they belong on the first album and like fit in so well. So yeah, those guys are fucking crazy.
I think it's like some of the songs you can tell, or maybe not even you can tell, but you could maybe infer that some of the songs came from whatever the OG writing sessions were that brought them to being the Smile. But then even those songs where it's like there's a link between the albums, they go in a completely different place. Like, I don't know, I want to use Read the Room as an example, because I feel like that song does remind me a lot of moments on the first album, but then the way that it departs from that is nothing that's on the first album. Like, they almost get like psychedelic rocky with it.
Yeah.
There's moments that remind me of like King Gizzard, which like I've never had that experience when listening to Tom York before.
Yeah, true.
It's like super current. Like it's not, and I don't know, like A Moon-Shaped Pool kind of made it seem like old men yelling at trains a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
they were refusing to like buy into the current trends or like take their try at doing the modern thing. But the Smile to me is like the opposite of that. It's like everything that's modern that can be explored in like the new Sonicscape, they're like doing it like on a song to song basis, which again just blows my fucking mind. They don't have to do that. They can stick in one lane and probably still be brilliant. But the fact that they explore like that and dip their toes into so many different kind of like production and soundscapes is just like mind blowing to me. So
dare we try to segue from the Smile absolute
into ourselves,
geniuses who are at the top of their game in the prime of their career, creating some of the best music ever made, into the newest Podcadzo release? I think we dare.
We shall.
By the time this episode comes out, we will have released our latest single, which is called Larimer Street. It came out on February 9th, year of our Lord 2024. How much do we want to talk about it before we just listen?
I mean, as much as you want to, really. It's another kind of classic example of you bringing an idea to the table and then us adding to that idea. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this might have been like one of the first songs we showed Benson.
Yeah, I think it was, because I've had this riff for a very, very, several years. The intention early on was to make it a Wax song, but I liked the riff so much and could see it going somewhere cool. I kind of had the thing where I was like, this is has too much promise to kind of rush and just turn into a song. So I really wanted to wait until it felt right. And it didn't feel right until I started playing it with you and Benson. And I just had the bare bones of it, and it was us jamming together over several months.
And it was largely more, I would say, like, it was largely more formed by just jamming than most of the other songs. Like,
definitely.
Like Strange at First, for an example, because that's the other one that just came out recently. But you already had, like, this is going to be the verse, this is going to be the chorus, this is going to be, the bridge. And then Larimer Street was very much so just like, this is a riff, and then there's like another riff, maybe there's another riff later, and then we just figured it out by playing it in the room a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a super simple song. Like, I remember at first, the first few jams, it was fully instrumental, like no lyrics of any kind, and really only like two parts. Like, there was the A part and there was the B part, and then there was like the A part again, and then there was the B part again, and that was it. It hasn't changed too much since then, really. It's mostly just like filling out space. But
yeah, us jamming it together, and like I remember we just wrote down on a whiteboard like A B times 2 C D A. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all we did but that's what it took. It was just like over several months, just figuring out how the pieces went together and the overall arrangement. And we've played it live a couple times, and when we've played it live, I think it's been a crowd favorite.
When we played it at one of our more recent shows, I think our most recent show, I think you were the maddest I've ever seen you.
Yeah, it was a bad mood.
And it lent itself to the performance in a really great way. Like, you can watch that performance on YouTube if you would like. Watching it back on YouTube is funny because it's like, damn, Colin's so mad, but all of that anger from that night made it into the actual performance of the track.
Yeah,
like,
that did inform the actual recording.
The performance changed a lot after that night. And I think the other interesting thing, and we always say it, I feel like every time we do one of these videos, but Benson was fucking around with this one for a while and trying to like figure out exactly what he wanted to do. But when he sent over the track that's in the song now, it elevated it so much. I think it not only like it changed the way that I heard the vocal performance in a lot of ways, but also just changed the kind of atmosphere of the song. Because before the song was it was a little bit aimless. Like, it kind of didn't have too many climaxes or like peaks, and it was kind of just like a lazy little jam. And then Benson kind of made it like, he made it have like a climax and then another climax, and he also made it feel like super mysterious and like kind of dark and weird, and like, I don't know, he gave that song a fuckload with his performance. So
it completely changed the way I thought about the song too, and like my purpose for the song and my parts for it, where it's really just, I am helping fill in the narrative arc for the organ performances.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
Same here. Like, I think a lot of the drum performance is built around how Benson is playing the keys too, and I think that's super interesting because the way Benson leads it is not at all how it originally came to be. So, yeah. The product of jamming shit a bunch, I guess, leads us to these places of newfound joy.
Well, let's do it. Here is Larimer Street.
I don't wanna be
Okay. Two things. First thing, I know my snare sounds like shit. I wanted it to sound like shit. That's the point. Fuck you. Second of all,
I love the way it sounds in the...
yeah, it sounds unique. It sounds vintage and modern at the same time. Yes, it's not a commonly used snare tone or frequency or tuning.
Well, it's
but
not...
maybe we don't all want to have exactly the same fucking snare sound. Maybe some of us want to continue to pursue different snare tones because that's allowed.
And because we're pushing the envelope,
we don't all have to just use the same snare sound forever. I hope that whoever is producing music, because there's only one guy producing music, whoever you are, please use a different snare sound. Why does everyone have exactly the same fucking snare on every single fucking record? It's
I think it's Jack Antonoff.
If it's dead, if it's mid-tune, and if it's completely dead, no frequencies whatsoever, it's good to go. It needs to sound like a fucking thud.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yours isn't even technically a snare because you had the
snares were not
off.
even on it.
Yeah.
Like the snares weren't off. Like there's no snares on the drum to begin with.
Oh,
so.
right, yeah.
Fuck you. The snare sounds cool. Next thing, what is this song about? It's about Larimer Street?
Kinda. I had several different iterations of the lyrics. I first wrote kind of the melody during COVID, right at the heart of COVID, and it was like kind of informed by an experience there when COVID felt really dark and dangerous, and I thought that was a bit too on the nose and stuff, and I didn't really want to go there. So I kept some of the lyrical themes, and it's kind of like I intended it to be kind of just like a stream of consciousness, kind of. It's a weird lyric performance. It's hard to articulate.
What are the words?
It's take a walk down Larimer Street, your assignment. Look at all the people you meet. They're dying. I don't want to be here today. Not lying. Gonna find another way. I'm trying.
All right. Stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Hooray. Cool. I think, I mean, I know you say Larimer Street because I hear you say take a walk to Larimer Street, and then I also hear you say they're dying.
Yeah.
Those are the only two words that
I just wanted the lyrics to be kind of weird and ambiguous and
cool.
I don't know.
Well, they certainly were dying during the COVID times.
Yeah.
And they're still dying now from, drugs and homelessness and a government that doesn't give a fuck about them.
Yeah. That the dying thing wasn't actually even from the COVID thing. That was just from
just Denver.
Yeah, Denver.
Just Denver stuff.
Yeah. So anyways.
All right. Well, let's keep going. I said let's keep going.
I said that.
Look at all the people you meet. They're dying, but I don't wanna be here today. Not lying, I don't wanna be here today.
This is actually the first riff I wrote for it.
Okay.
And wrote everything off around this thing.
Interesting. This part also kind of didn't really happen until the recording.
Yeah. When we play live, Benson always does a different solo variation, and they're all great, but that one is especially.
Yeah, but I also never went to hats like that until literally when we were tracking it, just because it seemed like there was like too much energy for that section. That was just a decision I made, and I was assuming you were still going to play guitar through it and all that stuff, and then the first bounce was like keys and drums. It was like, oh, sick. This is totally different.
I really stepped back there. I wanted to create some space. And I mean, we never really talked about any of that tracking. It just came like,
I did random
where are we
fills
going to go down in energy, where are we going to go up. It just kind of came together that way.
I did random improvisational fills there that Benson played to. Like, it all just worked out without really any planning for that part specifically.
That part there is kind of the peak of the song for me, into the next part as well, and then into the final chorus. This is the pinnacle of excellence.
The peak.
The climax.
Performance.
It could never be yours. How could it ever be yours? Take a walk around the street. Yes, I'm look at all the people you meet. They're tired. I don't want to be here today. Not like I don't want to be here today. I'm trying. I say,
Hell yeah. I'm kind of just not realizing for that solo at the end. I guess I don't know if I should say this out loud or not, but when we were tracking the drums for that, I didn't actually know how long the ending went at all.
Yeah.
Like, it just kept going, and so I just kept playing.
Uh-huh.
And the way that we had played it live was much shorter than how we tracked it. And so the last like 6 to 8 bars of that song is, or not, I mean, from the outro, I knew what was going on. But before the outro hits, when we're just like jamming after your guitar solo, yeah, like 6 to 8 measures, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I just kept playing. And it works incredibly well. Like, we make hits together at the same time
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't even realize we were making. Like the timing of it all was just purely accidental, but it all worked out super well. So I just thought that was a funny aside. I had no idea where the fuck I was or what was going on. And I just faked it. And I think we did 3 takes of that?
Yeah. And I remember the scratch track that I had made for you to play off of. So I did just single take of my guitar part so Julian would have structure to play around. I remember my scratch track somehow got kind of fucked up at the end, was a little off time. So we were having trouble saying that they clicked.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job with that, but if the guitar is a little off time, you can't really play around
So
that.
you're either listening to the click or you're listening to the guitar
So
at that point.
yeah, we did that. I was like, I'm just gonna mute my guitar here and we'll just play to the click and we'll figure it out. And I was expecting to have to do some editing, and I really didn't at all. And then I played my guitar part just again over it, did a single take in my guitar the way I had envisioned that end part going. And I had the same thing. I was like, oh my God, Julian's hitting these hits
Exactly
the strumming pattern.
Because they were in your scratch
or,
too. They had to have been in your scratch. There's no way I made those choices by accident.
Yeah. No, but I had that moment mixing. I was like, this can't be this. I was expecting to struggle with this song, spend some time on it. It can't be this easy.
Yeah.
This is it.
How do you I guess not for necessarily all your solos, but for this solo specifically, how'd you go about writing it? Because I kind of remember you had an idea, at least for the first part of the solo, the idea kind of stayed the same the whole time and you were kind of just building on that.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Benson kind of, not to necessarily speak for Benson, but me and Benson kind of figure out what we want to do by fucking around a lot. Every time we play a song, we're playing it completely differently, but you always seem relatively locked into an idea. Does that idea come into your head when you're doing the bare bones songwriting, or does it come way after that? And how do you decide what choices to make for the solo that are the right choice versus the wrong choice versus hearing it in your head and out loud at the same time?
Yeah, good question. I usually get locked into an idea or structure pretty early on. That's just how my brain works and kind of how I have to be. Is I struggle, and this is a disadvantage a lot of times, is that I struggle to not have a bearing for something, or my brain is very pattern oriented too, and I'm just I need that structure to go off of. So this solo specifically, I had some ideas, and I was playing some things similarly from time to time, but it's one of the only times in a Podcadzo song where I really have my own kind of fuck around time. So I was taking advantage of that as much as possible. And when I went to track the solo that's on the recording, I had an idea for it to almost devolve into kind of an anti-solo, just a bunch of noise and weird shit, which I was doing sometimes for live performances. And I was just kind of fucking around one day doing takes, and I was like, I'm just gonna do a solo in earnest and see how it sounds. And it was that one. I was like, all right, I'm done.
Nice.
Yeah, I was happy with it.
One and done.
Yeah.
I guess it's just an interesting thing to note, considering pretty much all these songs, literally all these songs start with a guitar idea and, some semblance of a structure from your end. Usually you wind up being the one who gets the most out of the way for everyone else in the room. You give me room to do weird shit, and you obviously let Benson shine anytime and every time Benson has an idea. But this song is, there's definitely solos or at least licks and improv in some of the other songs. This song is a proper solo where it's the guitar's at the front.
Mm-hmm.
And it carries the song kind of to the outro. I guess this isn't so much of a question, but I guess it is a question.
Started with one of those question words.
When you started Podcadzo, or when you had the idea for starting Podcadzo, was the idea that it would be guitar centered? Because it certainly really, guitar is still very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a central part of the songs, but it's not it's not a guitar band. Did you want that, or did we hijack your band? from
No,
you?
I didn't want that. I wanted. There have been many times where I've tried to maintain a lot of control over a song and make it a guitar song. And this is guitar music in the sense that you said it has guitars, and a lot of the song is built around the guitar part. But I was just sick of trying to steer a song that much. And when you're in a band with dudes who are as talented as yourself and Benson, it's foolish to like try to be like, guys, this is my guitar solo right here.
Sure.
Shut up. And that's just really what I wanted this band to be, is all of us coming into a room and like jamming and coming up with parts and making it feel organic. And I'm kind of the mindset where like, how much do I have to contribute in terms of like guitars that hasn't been done in music already? I'm not fooling myself that I'm the next great guitar player or that I'm going to write the next great guitar solo, you know?
Well, I don't know. I think I agree with the sentiment of that, but at the same time, a lot of the people, this is going to sound cheesy, a lot of the people that like inspire me the most musically and just creatively in general are the people that I am the closest to, or the people that I interact with the most on a creative level.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the people who, I mean, like, yes, we're influenced by the musicians we love, but we're always creatively driven by the ones that are the closest to us and the most around us. And that's what I feel from you and Benson, is just creatively driven. Like, whatever's best for the collective is, like, I think what we all want. And I think it's super interesting, just the fact that, you know, we've been in groups together where I feel like you did steer the song, you steered the direction of everything that was happening with the guitar. And it's really nice to be able to like kind of pass that around a little bit more. And I wouldn't say any of what we do is led by the drums specifically, or like any rhythmic concepts. Like, it's all very melodically driven and starts very much with guitar. But it's cool to see that you're capable of like stepping aside and letting whatever's best for the song shine through. I think not a lot of people would do that, especially not a lot of people who are bringing the ideas to the table to begin with. So it makes me feel super, like creatively driven, and it's like a breath of fresh air for me musically, because it's like, you know, bringing drums to other people's songs is like what I've always done, but like feeling like the drums I play can influence the direction that the song goes is like a completely different thing for me. So it's really cool.
And that's exactly what I wanted. Like you said, you know, like the rhythmic structure isn't necessarily like driving songs. Like, it's not, you know, we're not like saying like, oh, this is, you know, a 7/4 part and then we're going to shift into this, but like, it's all about like, you influence things more than I ever could with my guitar, because you're bringing like the energy and the drive to every song. Like, we're leaving space for you to figure that out, and you're the right person to figure that out.
Well, and at the same time, I'm picking up clues based on what you're giving me, so it's very much even still like a team effort there.
Yeah, totally.
And with Benson too, like,
we're all playing off each other.
Even though Benson always has really good ideas on his own organically, I think he always plays into what's happening in the room, which is way more important than just being creatively talented. So
no, this is the most fun I've had ever writing songs and performing them live, and the most fun I've been having with the guitar. And I am proud of a lot of my former guitar work, and I think I wrote a lot of good parts in the past, but I really feel like I've hit a new sort of creative stride. And it's the first time I've felt, you know, I still go through ebbs and flows. I happen to be in an ebb right now of creativity, but it's the
we're about to go write songs. Are you sure?
that I had a big enough flow then to kind of
Carry
relax
us over.
into an ebb now, and
There you
go off.
That's where you want to be.
Rest on my merits. So anyways, this is a song. I'll go ahead and say I think it's the best song we've done so far.
I agree. I think in a lot of ways, it's been for me like a consecutive thing for the last few months. Like when we put out Cowboy or Sweetheart, that was not only our best sounding song, but it was our best song overall.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the collective, whoever they are out there who listened to it, and thank you, they kind of agreed like that song definitely outperformed the others.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Strange at First, again, it was like a peak for me. And I think like for me, Strange at First felt so good because I let my freak flag fly on that song where I did whatever I wanted for most of it.
Yeah.
And it was like very creatively liberating because I don't know, like just for me personally, like writing a bunch of songs in another band for a while now, and those songs are very set in stone where like my part was my part and like I didn't want anything about it to change and I just wanted to memorize what I had already been doing. And so Strange at First was like the complete opposite approach. And for me, it kind of like reset my brain on Cadzo a little bit and made me realize Cadzo is where I can truly be as expressive as I want without taking away from the song, because we're all doing that. That's like the goal, is to be expressive and different, but also fall in line with what's happening in the room. And in other bands, for me in the past, it's always been the drums play to what's in the room first.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that it's not important, but I mean, it's just what happens. Like drums happen after everything else, and I am able to figure out my part just based on what's already happening. With us, it's like there is almost nothing happening when a song's brought to the table. There's like an idea, and there's no direction for where that idea should go. So it's like you let me do 20 or 30 different things before I kind of figure out what it is I like. I've never approached songwriting like that before. So
Yeah.
it's super creatively freeing and it's really fun. So,
And it's just for me dope enough to have dudes who you trust enough to have that approach with, where like I'm never gonna tell you a drum part to play.
Sure. Well, and I mean, yeah, the thing with my other group too, my other like main group that we're doing songwriting for right now, like no one ever tells me what to play, but I always get the feeling that I should play something that is in line with what's happening.
Yeah.
But like Larimer Street and Strange at First, it was like for me kind of the opposite. It was like if I think I should be doing one thing, I'm going to try doing something completely different. And that left so much room for you and Benson to like breathe, but it also gave me certain windows of time to like shine through. And I think that like give and take is super unique. And not to like say that we're the best band ever. There's still obviously a lot of work to do, but I'm proud of us for finding a way to be like a power trio in the sense that every member is equally as important as the last, and taking you out and putting in any other guitarist, it would massively change. Whereas like Green Day, for example, getting rid of Trey Cool and putting in another drummer, obviously it wouldn't be Trey Cool anymore, but like shit might not change too terribly much. There's also like a perception that Green Day is what it is, so like you got to play a certain type of music, but like for us, we don't have that at all. Like everything has been kind of different, and it's been on a trajectory of getting more explorative like as the releases happen. So
For sure. Well said.
thank you.
So anyways, thanks to everyone for hopefully listening to Larimer Street. If you haven't, please check it out. Well, you checked it out just now, but please actually play it on a platform
Rack
where
up
the
the
stream
streams.
will be recognized.
Rack up the
And
streams.
share it with your friends if you'd be so kind. And signing off from podcadzo, I'm Colin.
I'm Colin as well.
Also Colin.
We're both Colin.
Have a good day. We love you. Goodbye.